It's St Helens against Huddersfield from the Engage Super League. Huddersfield missing 11 of the team that beat Saints in the semi-final 2 weeks ago. What should be one of the games of the Super League season, top against third, tarnished because of the distraction of next week. But St Helens have got motivation enough to go out and win emphatically here. Their first reason is to keep Leeds at bay, second to improve their points difference tally, and third to avenge that defeat by the Giants of a fortnight ago. And this is the team that they hope will do it. Wellens is the fullback, then it's Gardner, Gidley, Lomax, Melly, Price and Long returns. Forwards Graham, Cunningham who's the skipper, and Pulatua, Wilkin, Flannery and Gilmore. And on the bench, Roby, Clough, Ashurst and Emmett. So a first smattering of youngsters there as well for coach Mick Potter. And this is the Huddersfield Giants lineup. Elliot Hodgson is the fullback, Leroy Cudjoe, Josh Griffin, Michael Lawrence, Alex Brown, Tom Hemingway, Scott Moore. Forwards, Darryl Griffin, Sean Lunt, Paul Jackson, who captains the team, Simon Finnegan, Danny Kermond and Martin Aspinwall operating at loose forward. It's Andy Raleigh, Keal Carlisle, Larn Patrick and Danny Sculthorpe on the bench for the coach Nathan Brown. So they've taken a gamble. They could be fourth after tonight. This could cost the Giants third place in the table come the end of the season. But we have praised the emergence of young players all year, so this will be invaluable experience for some of these guys, but they have effectively waved the white flag with their team selection. It could, of course, all turn pear-shaped for St Helens, because the biggest motivation Huddersfield have got is the fact that Huddersfield will turn up with this team and St Helens will walk out thinking they only have to turn up tonight to win the match. We shall see. Sean Long, Kieran Cunningham back, the backbone of their glory years. They're back together again for the first time since the end of June. Note of caution for St Helens, they have lost 3 at home this year. Their worst home return since 2003 when they finished 4th. They've lost against Tulkingston Rovers, Bradford and Wakefield here. But with Huddersfield, they boast 2 of the 3 best defences and 2 of the 3 best attacks. Huddersfield have got the best defence, St Helens have got the best attack. Ian Smith's the match referee, and what a baptism of fire for some of these Huddersfield youngsters, and what an opportunity to really make a name for themselves on the Super League scene. As Leroy Cudjoe gets the game underway, and a lot of people will be saying it's not how many, but how they win. But from the kickoff, Huddersfield have the ball back in the shape of Danny Kermond, and here is Darryl Griffin. It's a wonderful start for the Giants.
Well, it's certainly a boost in their confidence, isn't it? Everybody expecting perhaps a lie down. They won't do that. And let's not forget, apart from last week when the defence was extremely poor, Nathan Brown, the coach, would have been working hard on that department. They'll try to slow St Helens down if they can, but if they can get a huge fillip by scoring very early in the piece, kicking game's going to be important.
Scott Moore, on loan from St Helens, of course, plays the ball to Lunt. The ball then is ferried back on the inside to Paul Jackson. And that's the last tackle in his opening set of 6 that Huddersfield have got, courtesy of the good kick-off. It's a dive for the line, it's a try! It is a try here for Sean Lunt. Huddersfield take the lead. The youngsters have really shocked the Super League to its core here tonight. Well, we've all been talking about 50, 60, 70 points for St Helens all day, and Huddersfield get the first try via Sean Lunt, proving one of the finds of 2009, formerly with Workington, where he was National League 2's Young Player of the Year, 2006, 2007, sub in the semi-final, 7th try of the year.
Had to be a good start and they got it. Beautiful kick-off, they allowed it to bounce. You don't often see that from Paul Wellens. And from that position, what a beautiful dummy. They were just stood around with the St Helens defence. We made note of the fact before the kick-off that St Helens, they can't afford to just sit back and expect to be awarded these 2 league points. It's just what the doctor ordered for the Giants. Can Cudjoe add the extras?
Well, he should do. He's bang in front, and he does. It's 6-0 to Huddersfield, and to be fair, as far as the neutrals are concerned, the viewers watching at home and the crowd here in the stadium, Paul Anderson, who looks as though he is in charge tonight. They've got the perfect start for us.
Look at that, two markers, they're going the same way. That is schoolboy stuff. You go one way, one the other. They both went exactly on the left-hand side. Guess what? Mr. Lunt said, I'll go the other way.
And I think you're looking at probably, and I said there should have been an award for this last year, the most improved player in Super League. Sean Lunt, at 23 years of age, wasn't really wanted by any other side in Super League. Huddersfield took a gamble on him, and the fascinating thing about this season, he was actually going to be sent out to Featherstone on loan for the entire season until Keele Carlisle got injured actually before the year began, and they decided to keep him. He trained so well in the pre-season. It's been fantastic to see a player from National League 2 come up to this level, give it some confidence and some coaching, and really kick on to the next level.
And here now is Tom Hemingway, and that's flicked off the back of a St Helens defender, and it's into the arms of Francis Melly.
Well, they got the lucky bounce as well. Now it's important that St Helens don't just panic and expect to keep this ball alive and just run them ragged. They've got to get through some hard work. It's down the middle with the likes of this fella, James Graham. Got to get them into position. They'll be happy with the return of Cunningham, of course. Sean Long, interesting to see how he handles it. That's a good pass.
It was a good ball to Lee Gilmore. He got away from the tackle of Jackson first time with the help of Aspinwall, having been fed by Sean Long, who he is eventually brought to ground. Here's Pulatua, and he gets to within 10 metres of the line. Last tackle here for St Helens. It's with Cunningham, now it's with Long. He gives it to Price. Price takes on Lawrence, keeps going, eventually hits the deck. And a little bit of consternation on the face of the coach, Mick Potter.
Well, you could see there, Leon Price, he got up and said, oh, I didn't realise it was the last tackle. Well, they've got to.
It's Huddersfield who are in possession, and it's interesting to note that the table's completely turned. I remember when Huddersfield were going to Wembley to face St Helens in not to Wembley, but to the Challenge Cup final in 2006. It was a question that St Helens sent a reserve team all the way down to the Catalan Dragons, and they so nearly came up with a victory on that occasion. Huddersfield that year were battling away against relegation. They had to play their best team in the Super League, and if memory serves, I think they won. Tonight, as I say, tables have completely turned. St Helens have got full strength side out, and there's so many changes in this Huddersfield lineup tonight. Gardner traps the ball with his foot. Will run it back at Aspinwall, but it's a penalty for a high shot.
Yeah, just lifted a little bit too high there. Interesting to see how this fella handles a loose forward position tonight. Yeah, right under the chin.
I question the selection of Aspinwall at loose forward with Paul Anderson yesterday. They haven't found touch, St Helens. This ball will be run back here by Alex Brown. And Paul Anderson said that as far as Aspinwall playing at loose forward is concerned, every time he's come on in the past 3 or 4 weeks off the bench, he has operated at loose forward, so the role shouldn't be particularly strange to him. Here goes Griffin, that's Darryl Griffin.
Well, it might be the case in regards to ball in hand, but in his positional sense in regard to defence, he's going to come up against some pretty big players out there in the St Helens outfit, but Mick Potter will be furious. About the fact that they allowed Huddersfield to get possession from the kickoff, and then you could see there they've been caught on the last play of the ball way downfield when they should have kicked, and then they failed to find touch from a penalty.
Ball is dabbed down the line by Michael Lawrence, and it runs dead in goal. Probably caught a glimpse that Warrington are trailing at home to Wakefield as well, 4-0. The cup finalists here ahead, the cup finalists there behind. Here's Francis Melly.
That was good tactics again by the Giants. They'll utilise getting to a good position. They'll make sure that they get the ball away on the last. They kick and chase. They're very enthusiastic. You can see that.
Cunningham on halfway. Will find Flannery on the charge. Good defence from Huddersfield. Neatly done by the try scorer low down Sean Lunt. Sean Long had to stretch for that. This is John Wilkin. Well, they're piling in the tackle, aren't they, Huddersfield Giants? They realise they've got nothing whatsoever to lose here tonight. This is Wellens. Oh, a great defence again from Huddersfield. Saints fans getting on their backs.
And it is worth remembering here as you see the hunter-type mentality from the Giants, chasing and harrying their opponents. Penalty now awarded. Last season here with a strong side, they lost by 30 points. The year before, again with a strong side, they lost by 50 points. It's not as if they've found it coming easy here. And in some ways, perhaps by giving an opportunity to some younger players, they've actually got a better chance of winning the match.
Well, they have never won in Super League here. The Huddersfield Giants never, ever won in Super League. 4 apiece at the Halliwell-Jones Stadium. Warrington against Wakefield. Here, 6-0 to the Huddersfield Giants. They're in possession with Sean Lunt. Scott Moore, he passes it then to Jackson. Jackson will drive it up the middle, but Cunningham and Graham are there to halt that particular raid. Here now is Hemingway, and they fire it wide, and it is Elliot Hodgson. Hodgson gets it wide. Cudjoe is in the corner. Well, the referee, Ian Smith, will hand it upstairs to Steve Ganson, the video referee tonight, to make a decision. But this could be a sensational start. It really could.
This is a try. I have no doubt about it, and I'm sure that the video referee, Steve Ganson, there's no touch of the whitewash there. That's a second try. And the Giants are rocking this St. Helens outfit. They obviously has come out of the Saints thinking this is going to be easy peasy. Well, take a look at the scoreboard, folks. I don't think he gets anywhere near the whitewash. That's fine. Doesn't touch the flag. It's the body of Leon Price that does that. This will be awarded. Well, after the first try they conceded to Lunt, the Saints fans got on the back of their players. Imagine what's going to happen when this comes up. TRY on the big video screen.
Well, Steve Ganson has checked every which way but loose, and I think this will be given. It is. What a start for the Huddersfield Giants. Did I say lambs to the slaughter at the start of this programme? 10 points to 0. Huddersfield Giants are ahead. The unpredictability in Super League has never been mirrored greater than it has in the opening 10 minutes here tonight.
And full credit to them. They've played good, solid, basic football. They've harassed the opposition. And this is a wonderful play by the fullback, Elliot Hodgson. That was superb. A lot of raps on this youngster. Can he add the extra 2? They're stunned here. They're just stunned.
He's had a 69% success rate with his goal kicking, and that only came back off the post. 10-0. It's incredible. Justin Harris, nobody would have predicted this as we look again at this try.
No, they wouldn't, but so much about this game is mental, isn't it? We see the physical side of the game week in, week out, but Huddersfield have turned up tonight mentally switched on, whereas St. Helens have obviously seen the team sheet before game and thought, well, this is probably going to be a little bit easier than we expected. Huddersfield have come out, fired at them as they needed to do, and we've got a really good game in our hands now.
Well, we just saw the 2 errors from St. Helens. They really are all at sea. They've got to get themselves sorted out.
Surrender. Stand.
Wakefield 10-4 against Warrington.
Go.
That's Finnegan, and he gets the ball away brilliantly. Well, if St. Helens needed a wake-up call, I think in the opening 9.5 minutes, they have had it. And this crowd, which obviously the news got out earlier on in the week, as it has to these days, that Huddersfield were coming with a weakened team. It won't be the biggest crowd that St. Helens have enjoyed all season, but boy, at the moment, they're the quietest. They are trailing 10-0 after 10 minutes.
And it doesn't surprise me the way that the hooker Sean Lunt is controlling things out there. He's having a fantastic game so far.
Oh, through the legs of Wellens. Great chase from these Huddersfield defenders. Wonderful chase led by Sean Lunt and Paul Jackson.
Now, the biggest problem for Saints is that they're going into the shell slightly. They're getting to a point where, you know, they're just going one out. I'll try to turn the tide. And really, we haven't seen any combination of slick passing out wide. No opportunities for either centres, Gidley and Lomax.
Cunningham, and he finds Pulatua. And well, it obviously is in the culture of Huddersfield, the way they've defended in Super League all season. They are defending exactly the same here tonight, no matter who are occupying the jerseys. And Elliot Hodgson allows that to run over the far touchline, and the scrum will go down and Huddersfield will have the head and feed.
Well, it's obviously we're going to put pressure on this youngster, Elliot Hodgson, but he showed a good sense of mind there, just allowed the ball to go over to it. And this is a great opportunity, isn't it? We've mentioned before the kickoff that give them the chance and they'll show their wares, and they certainly have done that.
Well, they've arrived, Phil, with absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain, Huddersfield.
Well, you said they waved the white flag. It's very hard, isn't it, as a rugby club, knowing how and when to give an opportunity to new people. Huddersfield have chosen to do it tonight. They've also done it with the coaching staff. If you take note that their assistant coach, Paul Anderson, has been given an opportunity here tonight to coach. Now, if you do want to develop people internally in an organisation, they have to be given a chance and some responsibility. Paul Anderson clearly has that here tonight. Who knows, in 5 or 10 years' time, he may be leading Huddersfield to a grand final victory. It's all about being given a chance.
Nathan Brown is the man sat behind him. It's the last tackle here for the Huddersfield Giants. Elliot Hodgson and Moore and Hemingway will drive it to the line and will find the line as well. Francis Melly was not interested in that. They're playing with great enthusiasm. It's been a fantastic start for this team.
Certainly has, and it's a control kicking game as well. They're quite happy to do that, especially with the fact that St Helens coming up with so many errors, so much pressure.
Well, Tom Hemingway, well, the St Helens supporters are smiling at the moment. He has been recalled from his loan spell at Lee. He was standoff in the last 6 matches. It's his first Super League appearance of the year. He was out on loan early on at Halifax. This is Francis Melly now. Well, St Helens players, coaching staff and the commentators here might be stunned. Huddersfield certainly aren't. The supporters here are absolutely, well, they can't believe what they're watching. And Hull lead Harlequins 10-0. That could be the end of Harlequins if they lose tonight, the end of their bid for the playoffs. Leon Price. Good hit on him by Darryl Griffin.
And again, it's all one-out stuff by the Saints. Not much combination. They're relying, that's a pretty decent kick, but is in a good position again is Hodgson.
Been very impressive, this 18-year-old in the reserve team this year. And this is Leroy Cudjoe, who was likely to be taking the goal-kicking role tonight, and he has. He's got 1 from 2.
Much better there, leading the way. The prop forward, James Graham, very, very quick at the play the ball area. Got the defence going. They need something to spark them.
Scott Moore on a month's loan at Huddersfield from St Helens here. He's had a remarkable year as well, crowned it with his international debut. Down goes Paul Jackson on the last.
The Giants have an advantage as well in the fact that Danny Sculthorpe's going to come on at some point in this match. He's been playing particularly well for them. And don't forget, St Helens are without Hargreaves, Kalis and Farsavlu, 3 of their best prop forwards. So when it comes to big men in the middle, if anything, the Giants actually have the advantage.
Here's Paul Wellens. Did you honestly, Phil, did you honestly think that we'd be sitting here at 14 and a half minutes into the match and we'd be talking about a Huddersfield lead, honestly?
I'm not sure I did think that, but I do know, because I've watched enough rugby league, when you give young players an opportunity, they usually perform well in short spells, and they'll certainly do that here tonight at Huddersfield. I've also know it's hard for players like Long, Cunningham, Price to mentally get up for a game when they're playing against sides making the debut. He's guarded down the wing with a forward pass
Forward
though.
pass from Gidley. Great tackle by Elliot Hodgson anyway, because Gardner hadn't heard the whistle, and I don't think Elliot Hodgson had either. The forward pass is given by Ian Smith, and Huddersfield's head and feed.
Big problems there for Leon Price. He's been taken away to the touchline. Looks as though he's got a problem with his leg.
Let's go straight down to Bill. I think he's got news on this.
It looks like the right thigh that's the problem for Leon Price. He's limped out to this wing just to see if he can run the problem off, but grimacing as he did so, had a visit on the run from the physio. So whether that's just going to add to St Helens' woes, well, it could turn out to be that sort of night. You know, there he limps back as the Saints retreat. Price just hobbling back into the defensive line.
This is Martin Aspinwall. Takes the second tackle just on the halfway line.
3.
And that's Josh Griffin. Hull FC. I suppose a lot of people have been thinking that there was a big win somewhere down the track for Hull FC. Well, perhaps tonight is the night. 16-0 they lead, 10-0 Huddersfield lead here. Wakefield ahead at Warrington. This now is Darryl Griffin. 10-all now at Warrington. Well, it's busy, isn't it, in the opening quarter of an hour or so. The only ground we haven't heard from yet, Salford. High kick from Scott Moore. Danger here. That ball has bounced backwards, but Huddersfield are offside. I say it bounced backwards for St Helens. It bounced forward from the Huddersfield hand anyway, but they're offside, according to Ian Smith.
Just a touch in front. I think you'll find that it's Josh Griffin there. And a problem again for Saints. It looks as though Paul Wellens picked up a bit of a knock. He's having treatment in the back play.
Sean Long found touch with that penalty anyway.
It's not just the way that the Huddersfield side are playing individually as the youngsters. They're actually implementing a game plan, obviously, that Paul Anderson has decided that Sean Long out there has not played for 7 or 8 weeks. He's obviously out of practice, and defensively maybe a little bit awkward, so they've really targeted him in defence, and they've been able to do that and implement that as a team.
This is Long who finds Graham, and Graham who finds Price. Seems to be running off that injury. Wellens gets it wide to Wilkin, then takes the return, then dumps it over the top again, but it's untidy and it's on the ground and it's snaffled up by the Huddersfield players.
Well, I was just about to say that's the first time Saints have really put together some passing movements, and they're missing tackles.
And that's Michael Lawrence who goes down under that challenge from Graham. It was quick work on the ground by Tom Hemingway that gave Huddersfield this possession.
Oh, he's lost it.
He got a bang there to Danny Kermond. Danny Kermond seemed to go down, and his head and his neck were back, and look, I think he's holding that knee. Could be a problem there for Kermond. Penalty here for St Helens. Hands in at the ruck by Darryl Griffin.
I'm on the ball. John, just stay there, mate.
Well, this is the incident. Kermond just he tries to get through it. Well, I think does his leg buckle?
Leon.
His knee just gives way, I feel, there, and as he's going down, he just caught, I think it was Kieran Cunningham's forearm across. He ducked right into it, but you could see that it just gave way. And this is a sad moment.
There's a major problem by the looks of things here for Danny Kermond, and this will be a cruel blow for him. I think he's gone before even Kieran Cunningham got to him. But if this is a serious injury, and by the look of Danny Kermond at the moment, it might well be. The young man who was a substitute in the semi-final might be missing out on the trip to Wembley.
Well, this will be a shame, and he knows it as well, because the pain factor. I don't know whether he's had problems in the past with maybe cartilages, but it did appear to me as though that the knee just virtually gave in.
Just a little bit quicker.
He tried to step off that left.
No, just we've got a little spin.
The ACL injury, that anterior cruciate ligament, is a common one for many people now involved in sport, and it can very often lead to 6 months on the sideline. I do hope for Danny Kermond it isn't that, but it is something we see in many sports now on television. And for a player who has so quickly gone from National League 2 up the ladder here to Super League and stood out at this level when we've seen him play, it is a very sad blow for the Giants, particularly when they were going so well in this match as well. Significant stoppage in play here. The foot, again, it can have very often with nobody else involved. The knee collapses, doesn't it? His left knee collapses. The ligaments in the knee, for whatever reason, whether they've previously been under strain, appear to have collapsed and let him down.
Well, he was the top tackler against Bradford for Huddersfield last week with 41 individual tackles himself, but as you can see, there is a major problem here for Danny Kermond. He got a try here at St Helens last June as well, the 23-year-old, and I think the look on everybody's face who is attending him at the moment, I think that perhaps Danny Kermond might be just kissing his dream trip to Wembley goodbye here.
Yeah, it's bad enough the fact that you pick up any injury at any given time through the season, but as you've mentioned, Eddie, Just barely over a week before the big day down in London.
It's the chance that they take, though, and maybe justification we're seeing here right now of the decision by Nathan Brown to rest so many of his star players.
He can get injured at any time. I think we saw him playing for Huddersfield and suffer a significant facial injury, a cheekbone injury at the Gal Farm Stadium this year. And players from time to time will go through it. It's the ups and downs of being a professional sportsman. It's interesting now what both sides will do here whilst this break in play. He's getting excellent medical care from both the St Helens staff and his own team. Players now just trying to keep the focus and concentration. He's trying to get the side, in fact the Huddersfield team, trying to get the players moving, physically move, keep the blood flowing here, keep your mind switched on. So often we'll see a mistake in the next set of 6 after this, either in attack or defence.
You're right, Phil, and as I say, the Giants are working overtime, trying to keep their bodies flexible. It's completely the opposite with the St Helens side that have yet to start. They're stunned, 10 points behind.
And obviously a concern for Paul Anderson as well. You're right, red-hot favourites. Bill's got a better view of all this than us, Bill.
Well, it's no better than the view you had up there, and you really do have to feel sorry for Danny Kerman to come back from that fractured cheekbone, to get back into contention in the side, back to where he was, and then to suffer this is harsh luck. But one man's misfortune could be another man's opportunity, because Andy Raleigh enters the field now as they bring Danny Kerman off. And Andy Raleigh, been talking to him last weekend, and he really didn't think he was going to get an opportunity to fight for a place ahead of the final. Now he's out there on the field, and Danny Kerman's misfortune could give Andy Raleigh the chance to get into the frame for a Wembley appearance. So it's a big night, already a big night for several players out there. You know, there are players up in the stand here, the players, Huddersfield players rested, watching some others, doing a good job so far tonight.
Very much so. Andy Raleigh, you're right, it's a great chance for him now. He's coming back from an Achilles problem. And this is his 99th career appearance. What a place it would be if he gets the nod from Nathan Brown in midweek to go to Wembley and notch up the ton. Well, anyway, this is St Helens as a result of the penalty, of course, and it's long with a kick out wide, looking for Gardner, and Gardner goes over for the St Helens try. Well, it's incredible what a long delay in proceedings does. Perhaps Huddersfield just clicked off for a moment. They didn't look as though they were clicking off, I must say. As Phil rightly pointed out, they were keeping themselves occupied, keeping moving. St Helens look flat as pancakes, but it's St Helens who come up with the try in the corner from Eddie Gardner.
And this is the quality of football that Sean Long brings to any side. That was a magnificent move. And the winger, Eddie Gardner, knew exactly what to expect. Fully planned, but the kick had to be spot on, and it was. Sean Long been pretty quiet so far, but they were caught out there, and Alex Brown was way out of position, and he made sure this fellow with the different hairstyle.
Steve, I don't you wish you had hair to have a hairstyle like that, eh?
No, I don't. If I did have hair, I don't think I would copy that at all.
Johnny Lomax has never kicked at first team level before, but he's one of 5 St Helens youngsters to make his debut this year. Got a couple of tries, 19. Can he now register his first successful kick in Super League? No, he can't. But St Helens at least are on the board. It's Saints 4, Huddersfield Giants 10.
Eddie, in the last 2 games that St Helens have played, which they have lost, sides, outside backs, the men's on the wings and centres have come up and in aggressively quickly to shut down the ball players for Saints. You started to see something that they actually did in the semi-final with Eastman, kicking over the top where they know the space. It's just the kick has to be good. Hull Kingston Rovers were excellent last week at coming in quickly and closing down Price and Wellens and all the players who try and ship the ball to the outside for the overlap. That's an excellent way that Saints are counteracting that play.
Cudjoe restarts again. It went in front of Wellens. He tried to trap it with the boot. It kicked off then to exactly the same spot as they did as they started the match. And it almost caused a few problems again.
Well, he's very nervous, isn't he? I mean, that is an amazing thing. That's the second occasion that Wellens has been in between making that decision.
Cunningham was lucky then. That fumble went backwards. Was
Good
picked up
harassing
by Leon Price.
Good harassing defence, though, isn't he, by the Giants? You've got to hand it to them. They're working hard as a team.
Yeah, the only way Saints have broken them down in the opening quarter of the match is via the kick from long. Tremendous defence from Huddersfield. And there are the Huddersfield missing faces. See Luke Robinson and Kevin Brown amongst them there. Here now is Flannery, who hacks it down the line. And Elliot Hodgson comes across, picks it up. But then he too is picked up and dragged further back towards his own line. So they are all the Huddersfield players who might be featuring next week in the final.
I think you can actually physically see the intensity levels that have been lifted from the centre inside in this last 5 minutes. There's 18 minutes to go at half-time. It's a really dangerous time in this half for this Huddersfield team. They've really got to try and stand tall now in this next 5-10 minutes and withhold the St Helens onslaught that's going to come in this next 10 minutes.
This is Aspinwall. Ducked under the challenge from Cunningham, but couldn't get away from Lee Gilmore. Last tackle here. And Hemingway pumps the ball downfield. And underneath it is Francis Melly. Francis Melly taking them on. And solid defence again from Huddersfield there.
Talking of defence, it was a lot better from Saints as well. They kept the Giants way back into their own quarter. That's the reason why it wasn't a good kick. In fact, it's the first poor kick that we've seen. Paul Wilkins just overran that slightly. It's a move that we've seen from Mick Potter's side so often. Utilise the big fella James Graham. Looks as though he's going to take it up as a one out and then offloads it. Just couldn't take it in.
No, good pressure from Andy Raleigh on John Wilkin as well. He is the leading tackler this year, John Wilkin, but he's also the most penalised player for St Helens, and Sean Lunt now has a problem. Score of the first try.
This will be a bitter blow if he doesn't stay out there, because he's playing exceptionally well, controlling things at dummy half.
Lee, stay in.
Major reason why they've been able to get through this Saints defence time and time again.
No.
Good impressive showing, isn't it, by the Giants?
Very much so. Very much so, and they are a club on the rise, aren't they, the Huddersfield Giants? This is Griffin. It's Darryl Griffin. Actually, Darryl and younger brother Josh, by the looks of things, they go to the same hairdresser. That's Lunt again.
Nothing wrong with the discount.
Hodgson, Scott Moore, Raleigh. Tackled by Long and Gidley. Lunt is there again, directing operations at dummy half. He finds Scott Moore, back to Jackson. The captain for the night, Paul Jackson. 31 years of age. He is the elder statesman in this very youthful-looking Huddersfield Giants side. Moore's kick, not the best.
He's the only one born, Eddie, the last time that Huddersfield won here.
Yeah, say they've never won in Super League here. No Huddersfield side has ever won at St Helens since November 1978. He just scrapes in, doesn't he? Wasn't it September 77? We checked it before, Phil, didn't we? He was just alive, but he probably wouldn't remember much about it. Here is Graham. And 20-0 up now, Hull against the Harlequins. Long inside the 40. Not the best. It's bounced kindly for Alex Brown. This is Alex Brown's Super League debut. They said we wouldn't miss him because of those yellow boots. They are luminous yellow, aren't they?
And he's learned from his mistakes as well, as the fact, remember, he got caught out when Long put the kick across for Gardner.
Big strong player too, impressive in reserve grade.
Well, the message got out that he got there in the position on that occasion.
Now then, here's Danny Sculthorpe, brother of the St Helens legend Paul, of course.
He'll create a few problems as well for Saints.
Lunt gives it to Hemingway, fires it wide and finds Gold. Finds Hodgson with the gold hair. This is Lawrence.
Wait, go.
Finnegan was dummy half, a little dink over the top. Wrong-footed Paul Wellens. Wellens with a bit of work to do here, does it though. Under great pressure then, Wellens.
Well, they'll be happy with that with Paul Wellens as well, because he's had a very shaky start.
And Paul Clough is on. St Helens only ever present playing the ball just then. Pulatua.
There's a bigger problem that Saints are finding as well, and fair credit to those coaches in as much that Huddersfield are slowing them down. You know, Saints, they're so good at playing the ball quickly.
Here goes Gardner down the line. Gardner with the ball inside to Gidley that he couldn't take in, so it's picked up by Raleigh, and Raleigh begins the counter.
Well, good work there by Aidy Gardner. Just didn't have the speed. He thought he did, tried to go on the outside. You've got to be very, very fast to do that. Not the best pass on the inside of Gidley.
Scott Moore. This is Josh Griffin. Tackled by Long. Moore again. Raleigh.
They'll be quite happy, the Giants. Just trundle it up, getting through. Look for the kick again. Hope for the mistake.
Skillful short pass. Important tackle that was by James Roby. And here is Hemingway. Fires it wide. Lawrence. That was forward. Yeah.
Well, they had plenty to select from. I was wondering when the referee Ian Smith was sort of pick one out. We had about 4 to 5 in that passage of play. No doubt about it. Lawrence a little bit late. There's a problem for Kermond. Doesn't look good, does it?
Still in his playing kit and on crutches. Offside here against Huddersfield to play the ball. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not as serious as we thought, you think, although...
Well, I hope it's not.
You would think that if it was it probably won't be coming back on, but you think if it was a major injury problem that they believed, they might just have him whisked off to the local hospital, just have it checked out, maybe.
I think the fact that it's associated with crutches doesn't help any, but no.
This is Long, and Price, and Wellens, and Gidley. Good defence, though, from Alex Brown. Shot out of the line very quickly.
That's the up-and-in defence that helped Huddersfield beat Saints in the semi-final and helped Hull Kingston Rovers beat the Saints last week. Coming in, closing down the man before they can find the extra players out wide.
Roby at dummy half. Gives the long ball to Sean Long. Back on the inside to Jake Emmett. He goes down on the 4th tackle. They're 19 metres away from the line. Here is James Graham. Graham will drive it forward again. Aspinwall, to be fair to him, and Finnegan stood up to the challenge well. Plays the ball to Roby. Roby going on his own. Can't get it away to Emmett, though. They went for the power play. They were so close to the Huddersfield line they had to, but there were 4 or 5 defenders there to keep them out.
You know, every time Sean Long goes to the line, the Huddersfield defence knock him to the floor, keep making him get up off the floor all the time, and when they've got ball in hand, they're really making Sean make a lot of tackles. He must have done 10, 11 tackles already in this half, and he's looking a little bit tired because he's not played for so long, and it's obviously a plan that Paul Anderson wants them to implement.
Ding-dong match going on at the Halliwell Jones Stadium. Warrington and Wakefield. Ooh, they only just find touch then themselves, Huddersfield, with that long kick. Melly was just a little bit slow to see the possibility. Had too much ground to make up. So Huddersfield will come again with Finnegan. What a result this would be, Steve.
Oh, unbelievable.
If Huddersfield pinched this.
Unbelievable. It'd be fantastic for the club. I mean, it's a wonderful achievement that they've got to Wembley as it is, but to send out a weakened team and put a performance like this, it's magnificent. Nobody in a Giants jumper tonight had letting the side down.
No, it's a performance of no fear whatsoever. This is Carlisle now, and he gives it to Josh Griffin, taking on Flannery.
Big problems for Danny Sculthorpe in back play for the Giants. This will be a big blow to them.
And Hemingway will fire the kick out wide, over the top. And knocked forward, I think, in the end. It's the turnover. Melly just waited his chance.
Well, just under 10 minutes remaining. Certainly knocked down there by the winger, but if they can just hang on, the Giants now. You know, you got the feeling when Sean Long kicked that ball over for Gardner to get the try, I think everybody thought, oh, this is where they'll click into gear, but they can't, because this Giants defence, they're just blotting them out. They're not allowing them to get up and get that quick play of the ball. It's the least I've ever seen from the 2 hookers on the Saints jumper that haven't started running so much from dummy half, and that's a shocking pass.
Gardner turned it into something though, and has got the penalty for a high shot. Aidy Gardner, that was brave from him.
Back here.
And it was a little bit careless from Scott Moore and company. Yep. I think it was Josh Griffin, wasn't it, who got the contact on the head.
Up until that point, the Giants have successfully pressed the mute button on the crowd here. Very little noise. It's almost like a training run for some of these St Helens players, and a pause one, and one really that they're not able to play at full intensity, but they do find bursts of speed, which so often result in tries.
Let's get news on Danny Kermon, Bill.
It is ligament damage for Danny Kermon, the left knee heavily strapped in a brace as well. Obviously, no further part this evening. Whether he has any part to play next weekend, obviously, is the big question. The Giants medical team delaying judgment on that. Really have got to have a check on the injury to see just the seriousness of the damage that's in there. His teammates Kevin Brown, Earl Crabtree and Paul Fatawira have been down from the stand to console him, and they look dejected on his behalf.
Bad news for Danny Kermon, but great news for Huddersfield at the moment. They lead here, but this is Gidley, and under pressure he loses the ball. Lawrence has it back. Great hit that by Tom Hemingway, I think it was.
Yes, it was. Beautiful stuff there by the standoff tonight. Well, a few of these planned moves from St Helens just not coming off. Run around, some sloppy passing. And they've been very fortunate that they've retrieved the ball on 2 occasions.
8 minutes or thereabouts to half-time, and Huddersfield with an unlikely lead, but a deserved lead. There's no doubt about that. This is Raleigh.
They play good, solid football. They really have. They've controlled it well. They got over the advantage line.
It's solid, Steve, and it's with pace as well.
Yeah, but they're the side. I mean, normally, as I mentioned, it's a shocking pass.
You put the mockers on them.
Yeah, I was just saying that normally you come to this ground and you say, running from dummy half, St Helens. They're past masters at it. And yet, it's the Giants that's creating more effect from that play-the-ball area.
Yes, and from a player's point of view, the Huddersfield players particularly, looking at that scoreboard with the clock ticking down to half-time, how much confidence are they getting from this?
I think that they've grown in confidence pretty early in this game. They needed a good start. They got that with them 2 early quick-fire tries, which was really important for them. And you could see that the crowd was low, and that was the first thing that they needed to do, was put, as Phil said, put the mute button on this St Helens crowd, and they've done that. And they're just growing in confidence as this game goes. Now, if they can get to half-time in front in this game, who knows what can happen. They've got some good players out there, and the leaders, as we spoke before the game, are standing up to be counted, and the young kids are coming off the back of that.
Hull KR leading at Salford as well. Hull KR, when they heard about the changes, penalty here for obstruction. When they heard about the changes that Huddersfield made, I bet Justin Morgan's men were rubbing their hands thinking that third place was theirs for the asking tonight. Not so. Mind you, this is the Super League this year. It's the only predictability is the unpredictability of the whole thing.
Well, over the past 10 minutes, we've seen from St Helens 4 or 5 set pattern moves that have been extremely sloppy. Just lack of coordination.
I'm not taking anything away from Huddersfield at all. They're playing magnificently, but Saints are flat.
Well, they've lost the last 2 games, Eddie. Sometimes confidence can disappear from a side. Look for Danny Sculthorpe here to create something, Eddie. They're not going to die wondering here now. With 6 minutes to go, they're going to put some play on in this set.
They are indeed, and Carlisle is the man at dummy half, and he finds Scott Moore. Here's Sculthorpe, hands it off quickly. Oh, that's an important tackle on Finnegan, and that was the youngster Lomax who got that. This now is Hemingway firing it wide to Lawrence. 4 tackles gone, but they're only 5 metres away. Scott Moore again. What a performance from him tonight. Danny Sculthorpe. It's Old Trafford or bust for Sculthorpe. There's no Wembley for him. He's cup-tied. He's on loan from Wakefield. Oh, lovely little scamper through. Almost a try there for Keele Carlisle.
That was on the power play. Not a bad option either.
He must be very proud, Paul Anderson, and so too must Nathan Brown.
Oh, he did well there to keep the ball in play.
No.
Always giving it. Well, that's an unusual decision.
And he rallied very quickly in. He was grounded in the in-goal area, he says.
We'll have to wait and see. Lomax, to me, has the ball in the field of play. Oh, that's an unusual one from Ian Smith.
Might have got this one wrong, Ian Smith. Or maybe it's on the line, is it?
No, it's away from the line. Either way, the Giants won't be worrying about it at all. They know they can trundle it up yet again, utilise a kick. I think they'll go for the option of a high kick on this occasion.
Good run, good strong run here from Lon Patrick. Phil's right, these young Giants players are not going to die wondering tonight. They really are not. Scott Moore, great ball. Hodgson wide to Alex Brown.
That looked slightly forward. Looked to be drifting away. Well taken though, Brown, under pressure.
Hodgson to Moore. Here's Sculthorpe.
Just trying to look for the offload there, but got to ground. Will they go early for a kick?
But it's with Hemingway. Gets it away to Finnegan. Finnegan goes down in the tackle on the last.
Give it some air, get some height on it.
Scott Moore stabs the ball through. He was aiming for the post then. He fired that in towards the post, hoping for a ricochet. I'm sure he did.
Well, St. Helens tried to get a quick tap there, but the pass wasn't good. And James Roby lost possession of it.
Surrender!
Well, he's such a quiet coach, isn't he, Mick Potter? The man in charge here at St. Helens, and I think he wants to be a little bit vocal at half-time, because this has not been anything like a vintage performance by the Saints. Brought about, of course, by the Giants' ability to defend very well indeed.
Dink over the top by John Wilkin. He wouldn't have anything of Huddersfield fielding a weakened side yesterday. So there's plenty out there who know what Super League's all about, and there's a few who've played a couple of times before this year. So he, for one, was not expecting an easy ride tonight. But it is, I suppose, from a player's point of view, Steve-O, you look at the sheet that goes up on the dressing room door next door to you, and you see so many unfamiliar names, and you've got so many star players in your side, you must think, well, we're only going to go out tonight, and it's 2 points in the bag.
Yeah, that's been their problem. They started out badly. The Giants come up with a possession right from the kickoff. You can't just sit back and think that the opposition are going to throw the towel in. As you say, it's 17 against 17. They got the penalty.
They have. Hands in the ruck again.
And they won't rush this, Huddersfield. And they're maybe right just to slow it down. If they can finish this half with another try, anything is possible.
It's Carlisle, and here now is Raleigh driving the ball in. 3 St. Helens defenders meet him. Emmett is one, Flannery is the other, and Gidley was the other. Moore to, oh, here is Hodgson. Great feet from Hodgson, great tackle from Wellens, a try-saver. Quick play the ball, Carlisle, Danny Sculthorpe. He's just short of the line. This is desperate defence needed now by St. Helens. Hemingway goes down the short side, it bounces back again to him. It's going to be 6 to go, isn't it?
And he's lost it.
Oh, well, that would have been 6 to go.
It was 6 to go, and he played on, but I'm afraid that they lost it at the vital moment. Well, this was real pressure. And there you see the error. No advantage. They'll put the scrum down, head and feet, and a very, very relieved red and white outfit. This was wonderful play by Elliot Hodgson, and it took a wonderful tackle by Paul Wellens to drag him down.
There are a few hundred Huddersfield Giants supporters who have made the journey across here tonight, and I tell you something, they cannot believe what they are watching. The team has conceded a penalty here.
It's been a tremendous effort, and just shows you the quality of the junior development that they've got down there.
Here's James Graham.
And quite frankly, it's great to see.
Well, as I said in the build-up, we have been banging on all year about the young players coming through in the Super League, and this is ample evidence of the sheer weight of numbers they've got at Huddersfield. St. Helens, they get a lot of praise. Leeds get a lot of praise. So did the other clubs, of course. Bradford have signed a raft of them as well. Every club is after good young talent, and Huddersfield seems to have found a lot here. Long out the back door, a little bit craftily, and maybe over craftily, almost. But John Wilkin is the man who read it. And that's the half-time siren. Listen to this crowd. They're the St. Helens fans who are letting their team know what they think. They're very quiet. They're normally so vociferous here, but they've been sat on their hands for much of the first 40 minutes. Paul Anderson and Nathan Brown A magnificent first half from this team of youngsters with a smattering of experience. Lunt and Cudjoe with tries inside the 8 minutes. They led 10-0. Gardner got a try after 20 minutes, 4-10. But the Huddersfield Giants side, well, they can walk off like giants right now.